day. And in your presence all our fears are washed away, washed away. Hosanna, Hosanna, you are the God who saves us, worthy of all our praises. Hosanna, Hosanna, come have your way among us. We welcome you here, Lord Jesus. Turn to you. In your kingdom, broken lives are made new. You make us new. 'Cause when we see you, we find strength to face the day. In your presence, all our fears are washed away, washed away. Hosanna, Hosanna, you are the God who saves us, worthy of all our praises. Hosanna, Hosanna, come have your way among us. We welcome you here, Lord Jesus. Hosanna, Hosanna, you are the God who saves us, worthy of all our praises. Hosanna, Hosanna, come have your way among us. We welcome you here, Lord Jesus.
Exodus 4, 1-17. Then Moses answered, "Look, they won't believe me and they won't listen to me. Instead they'll say, 'The Lord didn't appear to you.' 'What's that in your hand?' the Lord asked him. Moses answered, 'A staff.' Then God said, 'Throw it on the ground.' He threw it on the ground and it became a snake. Moses ran away from it. Then God told Moses, 'Reach out and grab its tail.' So he reached out and grabbed it, and it became a staff in his hand. God said, 'I've done this so that they may believe that the Lord, the God of their ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you.' Again the Lord told him, 'Put your hand into your bosom.' He put his hand on his bosom, and as soon as he brought it out, it was leprous, like snow. Then God said, 'Put it back into your bosom.' He returned it to his bosom, and as soon as he brought it out, it was restored like the rest of his skin. Then if they don't believe you and respond to the first sign, they may respond to the second sign. But if they don't believe even these two signs and won't listen to you, then take some water out of the Nile and pour it on the dry ground. The water you took from the Nile will turn into blood on the dry ground." Then Moses told the Lord, "Please, Lord, I'm not eloquent. I never was in the past, nor am I now since you spoke to your servant. In fact, I talk too slowly, and I have a speech impediment." Then God asked him, "Who gives a person a mouth? Who makes him unable to speak, or deaf, or able to see, or blind, or lame? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I myself will help you with your speech, and I'll teach you what you are to say." Moses said, "Please, Lord, send somebody else." Then the Lord was angry with Moses and said, "There is your brother Aaron, the descendant of Levi, isn't there? I know that he is certainly eloquent. Right now he is coming to meet you, and he will be pleased to see you. You are to speak to him and tell him what to say. I'll help both you and him with your speech, and I'll teach both of you what you are to do. He is to speak to the people as you for your spokesman, and you are to act in the role of God for him. Now pick up that staff with your hand. You'll use it to perform the signs."
You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love has called my name. I've been born again into your family. Your blood flows through my veins. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of
Judges 6:11-17. After this, the angel of the Lord appeared and sat down in the shade of the oak tree in Ophrah that belonged to Joash, a descendant of Abiezer, while his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress in order to safeguard it from the Midianites. The angel of the Lord appeared to him and told him, "The Lord is with you, valiant warrior." But Gideon replied, "Right, sir, if the Lord is with us, then why has all of this happened to us? And where are all of these miraculous works that our ancestors recounted to us when they say, 'The Lord brought us up out of Egypt, didn't he?' But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us over to Midian." The Lord looked straight at him and replied, "Go with this determination of yours and deliver Israel from Midian's domination. I've directed you, haven't I?" Right, Gideon responded. "Sir, how will I deliver Israel? Look, my family is the weakest in Manasseh, and I'm the youngest in my father's household." The Lord told him, "Because I'll be with you, and you'll defeat Midian, every single one of them." So Gideon asked him, "Please, if I have received favour from you, then do a miracle for me that shows that you are making this promise to me."
I could just sit and wait for all your goodness, hope to feel your presence. And I could just stay right where I am and hope to feel you, hope to feel something again. I could hold on to who I am and never let you change me from the inside. I could be safe here in your arms and never leave home, never let these walls down. But you have called me higher, you have called me deeper. I'll go where you lead me, Lord. You have called me higher, you have called me deeper. I'll go where you lead me, Lord, where you lead me. I could hold on to who I am and never let you change me from the inside. I could be safe here in your arms and never leave home, never let these walls down. You have called me higher, you have called me deeper. I'll go where you lead me, Lord. You have called me higher, you have called me deeper. I'll go where you lead me, Lord, where you lead me. I will be yours, oh, I will be yours for all my life. I will be yours, oh, I will be yours for all my life. I will be yours, oh, I will be yours for all my life. So let your mercy, I will be yours, Lord, I will be yours for all my life. So let your mercy light the path before me. You have called me higher, you have called me deeper, and I'll go where you lead me, Lord. 'Cause you have called me higher, you have called me deeper. I'll go where you lead me, Lord. You have called me higher.
Acts 9:26 to 27. When he came to Jerusalem, he tried to join the disciples, but they were all afraid of him, not believing that he really was a disciple. But Barnabas took him and brought him to the apostles. He told them how Saul on his journey had seen the Lord, and that the Lord had spoken to him, and how in Damascus he had preached fearlessly in the name of Jesus. 1 John 2:1. My dear children, I write this to you so that you will not sin. But if anybody does sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteous one.
Last year was a tricky one for me. For us, actually, I think it was tricky for everybody. COVID seemed to try and stuff everything up, didn't it? National politics has been an uproar. Even sport has been bizarre with shortened seasons and competitions and called off, and it's just so confusing. But the past forms us, doesn't it? What have we learnt over the last 12 months? And really, I want you to think about that. One thing we learnt early last year was we missed people at church. And people are important to us. And maybe we had become complacent, but now we appreciate each other a lot more. And we learnt how much singing actually meant to us, particularly from a congregational point of view. We learnt that we can change and adjust if we really have to. But what about you? Think about that. The Bible tells us to remember, and we really don't want to remember 2020 much. Remember who God is, remember what God has done, and remember from what we've been saved. So what do we learn from remembering? Here's just 4 people from the Bible to think about as we head towards and head into this new year. The first one is Moses, and Moses questioned God. It's a great passage from Exodus chapter 4. It says, Moses answered, "What if they do not believe me or listen to me and say, 'The Lord did not appear to you'?" Moses questioned, as I said, and Moses didn't think he was good enough. If we look further down in that passage and we look at Exodus chapter 4 and verse 10, it says, Moses said to the Lord, "Pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue." Moses didn't think he had the skills, particularly in speaking. But God gave Moses one set of skills, and that was leading, and Aaron another set of skills, which was talking and communicating. It's funny, isn't it, how God brings it all together for us sometimes. If we look further down in the passage in verses 14 to 17, it says, "Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, 'What about your brother Aaron the Levite? I know he can speak well, and he is already on his way to meet you, and he will be glad to see you. You shall speak to him and put words into his mouth. I will help both of you to speak, and will teach you what to do. He will speak to the people for you, and it will be as if it were your mouth, and as if it were God to him. But take this staff in your hand so that you can perform the signs with it.'" Wow. God brings it all together, as I said, and makes the system work. Now, what about this next bloke? Gideon is a pretty amazing story. Gideon was scared, and actually he was hiding, in fact, when this happens. In Judges chapter 6 and verses 11 and 12, it says, "The angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak of Ophrah that belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, 'The Lord is with you, mighty warrior.'" He's in a winepress and he's thinking, "Mighty warrior? You've got to be kidding." But Gideon questions the angel of the Lord. In fact, he questions God. I think that's a common denominator with actually Moses and actually David and Jeremiah and Isaiah. So it must be okay, actually, to question. He says in verse 15, "Pardon me, Lord," Gideon replied, "but how can I save Israel My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. He didn't have much faith, or was pretty realistic about his station in life. It goes on in verses 36, and Gideon said to God, "If you will save Israel by my hand, as you have promised, look, I will place a wool fleece on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece and on the ground around is dry, then I will know that you will save Israel by my hand." And you said. And that is what happened. Gideon rose early next day and he squeezed the fleece and wrung out the dew, a bowl full of water. Then Gideon said to God, "Don't be angry with me. Let me just make one more request. Allow me one more test with the fleece. But this time make the fleece dry and let the ground be covered with dew." That night God did so. Only the fleece was dry and the ground was covered with dew. Whoa! Whoa! God is explaining to him that he's with him. But then further on, he stops questioning and he just obeys God. Look at Judges chapter 7 and verse 17. "Watch me," he told them. This is Gideon speaking. "Follow my lead. When I get to the edge of the camp, do exactly as I do. When I and all who are with me blow our trumpets, then from all around the camp blow yours and shout, 'For the Lord and for Gideon.'" That's a cool story, isn't it? How God used a guy who was a chicken. But what about this? There's this guy called Barnabas. And Barnabas was never the main man. His job was to develop people who changed the world, but not to get the credit for it himself. Acts chapter 9 says in verse 26, "And when he came to Jerusalem, he tried to join the disciples, but they were all afraid of him, not believing that he was really a disciple." And that's talking about Paul. But Barnabas took him and brought him to the apostles. He told them how Saul, on his journey, had seen the Lord and that the Lord had spoken to him, and how in Damascus he had preached fearlessly in the name of Jesus. What Barnabas does here is he sets up Paul's credibility. He said, "This guy is God's man. Let him do his stuff." Barnabas was a bloke who set things up for others to achieve. Then there's the Apostle John. And when you think about it, this guy was a fisherman. He had developed, but he developed these amazing skills, and he was a dreamer. He had visions. He grew old, and he was the disciple who Jesus loved. Listen to what he says in 1 John chapter 2 and verse 1. "My dear children, I write this to you so that you will not sin. But if anyone does sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteous one." You see, for all that John had done in his life, John pointed people to Jesus and pointed people to the fact that Jesus had the capacity to change them. Okay, so which one of these people are you, am I? The leader, the scaredy cat, the developer, or the old dreamer? Well, which one am I? Well, I think at different times I've been all of them. And this past year has prepared us for the future in some way. Take to remembering. Take your remembering and evaluate what it has taught you. Don't look at it as a frustration, but as a learning process. What have you learnt for the future? Where is God going to take me and you this year? What lessons did I learn last year that prepares me for this year? When you've done that, we have to think about what's next. And that's what we're going to talk about over the next few weeks. Bless you.
Who breaks the power of sin and darkness, whose love is mighty and so much stronger, the King of glory, the King above all kings. Who shakes the whole earth with holy thunder and leaves us that you would bear my cross. You laid down your life that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Who brings our chaos back into order? Who makes the orphan a son and daughter? The King of glory, the King above all kings. Who rules the nations with truth and justice, shines like the sun in all of its brilliance. The King of glory, the King above all kings. This is amazing grace. This is unfailing love, that you would take my place, that you would bear my cross, that you laid down your life, that I would be set free. Oh, Jesus, I sing for all that you've done for me. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy is the King who conquered the grave. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Worthy, worthy, worthy. Oh, this amazing grace, this unfailing love, that you would take my